Arizona football, fellas. I have felt for the last 2 years that Vegas has been behind the curve a little bit on Arizona football. First year, or last 2 years ago, it was 2.5 wins. Arizona got 5. Last year, it was 5 wins. Arizona got 10. I'm looking at these numbers right now. 7.5 wins and 15-2 odds to win the Big 12. Justin Spears, you're the boots on the ground source. What say you on those projections?
You said second best odds to win the Big 12?
No. Fourth best odds, 15-2 odds.
Behind who?
Behind Kansas State, Utah, and one other school. Yeah. So
in Oklahoma State. Now, I do like Oklahoma State a lot. I mean, they had a really good season last year. But good news for Arizona, you don't got to play Oklahoma State until potentially the Big 12 championship game.
Right.
So you're getting Kansas State early on in the season. Early in the year, I mean, anything can happen. So if Arizona is able to pull off a win at Kansas State, I know it's going to be considered a non-conference game because it was scheduled before all this conference realignment, but that's still a major win over a big-time program in Kansas State. And I look at all the other games on Arizona's schedule. Going at Utah, I mean, Cam Rising coming back. Kyle Whittingham is going to do a good job of rebuilding that team.
Right.
Getting them back on track after kind of having a off year last year. Utah is going to be tough. Going on the road and playing BYU in Provo. Your two games against the Utah schools are on the road, and those schools pack the house. So it's going to be a tough road environment. But I think Arizona, with Noah Fafita and Titaro McMillan and the camaraderie they have on the defensive end, I mean, I think if they're able to win those games where, I mean, it could be kind of a coin flip, then I think we're talking about Arizona being in the driver's seat to win the Big 12. I love the way this team is constructed. I think getting the nucleus of guys to come back with Noah, who is a Heisman Trophy hopeful, T-Mac, who is the best receiver in college football. You have arguably the best secondary in the Big 12 with 4 out of the 5 guys coming back. And then on the offensive line, yes, you lose Jordan Morgan, but 4 out of those 5 guys are coming back. So a lot of great returning pieces. And as you know, Mike, you've been talking about it on your show with Jason Shearer a lot. The pieces that they've added in the transfer portal, while they may not jump off the page, they're going after guys that they need, like at the running back spot, like up front. I think the coaching staff led by Brent Brennan, they've been very strategic in adding pieces in the transfer portal, and I really like what they have. So 4th best odds, I'm not really surprised by that. I'm not going to sit there and say like, oh, that's a bad take by these odds makers, but it would not surprise me if Arizona wins the Big 12.
Ollie, will you say that it's a bad take by the odds makers?
I mean, I think the 7.5, I'm betting that all day long. And, to win the Big 12, those are great odds. I mean, you should take those odds. That's why they call it betting.
My friends.
Yeah. Look, the best ability is availability, and football seasons are wars of attrition. So there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be required for any team to succeed in this conference. And look, I understand the nostalgia of the Pac-12 and the lament that it no longer exists. I get it. MoveOn.org. The Big 12 is better football, and we're going to be playing better teams. And I'm going to tell all Wildcat fans, whether it's football or basketball or whatever, you got to raise your levels, because we're going to see what passionate fan bases are all about. They're going to pack the house. It's going to be more hostile crowds than going to Berkeley and playing Cal, or, going to Pullman and playing Washington State, or the 5 people at UCLA. When you talk about the pageantry and passion of college athletics, the Big 12 has it in abundance. So Arizona fans, get used to a lot of fans from other schools coming to Arizona Stadium. Get used to, if you're a basketball fan, a men's basketball fan, get used to not being able to find a ticket. It is another level of fandom, and I'm really excited for it, because I think it's going to raise the level, not just of our athletic department, but of our fan base.
I got to give Brent Brennan a lot of credit too, and Justin put it into this as well. I think we're so used to, oh, well, if somebody's not a 5-star, then, what kind of contributor can they really be? This was a roster. This was a team that when Brennan took over, he was able to keep a lot of pieces. That's called recruiting, because you have to be able to bring those guys back. And just let's look at the running back position for a second. This was one that was decimated. Obviously, you lose Jonah Coleman, you lose Michael Wiley, you lose DJ Williams, Justin's buddy DJ Williams with the monster truck. But you also are able to replace them with, I don't know, Kedrick Riscano, ex-top 10 running back in the country, 1 year removed from that. Quali Conley. You got Fam Rayshon Speedy Luke. You got Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. You guys heard that story, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and then, go ahead, Justin, and we'll get to some other parts of the team. Go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with you. It's just a wild story with him and Ole Miss and among other things.
Right.
It's your show, guys, but you guys are so educated in Arizona athletics, but in Arizona football in particular. Is there one area of concern going into the season for you? For me, it's defensive line. But what about for you guys? Is there something that you're looking at just be like kind of gives you a little bit of trepidation?
Justin, you're the beat writer. You go first.
Defensive line, just the interior guys. I mean, losing Big Bill Norton, as Mike Luke calls him, BBN, losing BBN, losing Tyler Manoa, who's playing for the Minnesota Vikings, losing, a handful of interior beefy guys, losing that size certainly hurts, because what those guys didn't show up on the box score, but they took up space, they occupied blockers, and having that size, that girth on the defensive line allows guys like Jacob Manu and Dalton Johnson and these other players to come downhill and make some plays. So the guys that they added in the transfer portal and the guys that they have coming back, I've seen a lot of great things from Isaiah Johnson, who has been with the program for the last couple of years, was a part of that 2022 recruiting class, but really fell under the radar. He ascended in spring. And, this is one thing that, I leave with Arizona fans to kind of give them hope is, there were a number of players last year that we really didn't know about, and they just ascended. The one that immediately comes to mind is Isaiah Ward. Isaiah Ward wasn't on the 2 deep at all last year, but had a great spring, had a great preseason training camp, and then became a starter on the defensive line. So you're going to look at names and you're going to be like, I have no idea who this guy is, but I'm telling you, give them a chance, because they have a chance to prove something. Look at Bill Norton. Bill Norton, when he came to Arizona, had no stats, but a reason why, it was because he played at the defensive line factory that is Georgia. So I'm just going to say, yes, while there are, some concerns with this Arizona team, you just never know who's going to step up. And going back to Brent Brennan and, his ability to get guys in the portal, that may not jump off the page. This was what he did at San Jose State.
Right.
You know how hard it is to win 7 games in consecutive seasons at San Jose, but he produced several all Mountain West selections, won games at San Jose State, which is a hard program to win at. And he's kind of a Dick Tomey disciple. What was one thing that Dick Tomey was good at? Finding talent, scouting them, and making them into great football players. And I think Brent Brennan can certainly do that at Arizona.
It's weird. I'm on the D line. I'm with you on the D line. I actually have more concerns, though, on the edge, because right now I think with Tai Uiagalelei and Trey Smith, I think I'm fine with them as the starters. I don't love I think you need to add a little bit more behind them. It's weird, though. On the D line, I actually think they've done like as if I was implying they wouldn't do a good job. But you look at some of the guys that they were able to, keep. Obviously, you got Chuba. Then you got, I believe, bringing in Darton from Syracuse is going to be big. People are forgetting about this dude. This was an all ACC type performer right there. So you got to keep that. Bear Anderson from Memphis, one of the better freshmen in the country last year in the D tackle spot. And then you've also got, like you said, Isaiah Johnson. What I am a little worried about is depth on the O-line. Because I love the 4 starters. Absolutely. And I think we look at Polito and we know that he's got a world of potential, but he's also been dinged up a lot, throughout his career. And we've seen that. You've also, some of the guys I think just haven't quite developed the way that you were maybe hoping, like a Tylen Gonzalez or an Elijah Payne or something. I do like getting Jonah Rodriguez from San Diego State, but that worries me a little bit, the depth. But overall, though, guys, the starters, I feel very good about.
Starters are good. The guys that they got in the portal are really good too. Michael Wooten from Oregon is another player who's probably going to get, some love at tackle, whether it's the left or the right side. Rhino Tapatutai is a second-year guy who got a lot of great experience this spring. Because
how long did it take you to get that name down, Justin? Be honest.
A couple tries. Ali will give me a little bit of credit here. I'm really good with Polynesian names. Now,
he is.
I'm not the the sharpest tool in the shed, but I got the Polynesian names down.
Right.
But Rhino Tapatuitai is a second-year guy, and when Raymond Polito went out with injury this spring, and you had Joseph Bourgeon in the transfer portal and a couple tackles also gone, like Rhino Tapatuitai was taking reps with the 1s, 2s, and the 3s for a little bit. So that experience is invaluable, and I think that Rhino should be ready to go if his number is called at this point of the season or coming up in the season. I'm also looking at Shanko Matautia. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He goes by East, 6'3", 350 pounds, just a big guy, has 20 games of experience at New Mexico playing right guard. And if you look at the most competitive position on the offensive line this spring, it was right guard. And if you don't have Shanko playing right guard, you got Leif Magnuson, who started 4 games for the Wildcats last year. You also have Alexander Doost, who's 6'7", almost 300 pounds, coming in from Northwestern. So they do have some pieces, and I like the depth that Arizona's adding up front.
Ollie, let me ask you this. You're a bottom line guy. That's how you've gotten to the position you are. And let me ask you this. I believe Arizona's got to get 9 wins this season. I believe they've got to be able to build on it. We've been here a long time. Arizona's never really been able to string together 2 really good seasons in a row. Arizona's got a loaded roster. I believe they need to be able to build on it. I say we need to have 9 wins. What says the most successful man in the industry, Ollie Farhang?
Man, I couldn't agree with you more. And, as an Arizona fan, there's always been that banana peel, like right around the corner for us. Every time we had a hope or, think about 98, we're ranked number 1 in AP and go to Penn State, and a guy named, LeVar Arrington.
Courtney Brown, LeVar Arrington.
Brown just basically lived in our backfield. So, I think 9 wins and, really vying for the Big 12 championship is what this team is capable of. And like I said, health is always important. We stay healthy, and we've got, if we do have an injury where it's in an area where we've got more depth, then Arizona's got everything they need. And just one thing I wanted to point out to you guys, and I think it goes unsaid too much. Think about the job Brent Brennan did when he got here, developing genuine relationships with the guys that were on this team to give them the confidence to stay here, because he did it in a short time.
Yeah.
And to be able to accomplish that, you don't do that if you're not authentic. And maybe the best recruiting job in the country this year was Brent Brennan coming in and keeping the majority of this roster intact.